Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the CDL podcast channel. In this episode today, not going to be a full fledged podcast, going to be a little bit of just like a shorter kind of talking session between me and Kyle. Obviously, discussing a lot of the big time news in the CDL, one of the bigger days of news or bigger weeks of news we've had in a very long time with some big names making moves, some careers coming to a close as well. Before we get into the discussion, Kyle, how you doing today?
Well, I'm doing great. I had to keep refreshing the Twitter timeline every minute. This afternoon, just waiting to see what was going to be the next chip to fall. Um, just a really momentous, and I think we'll look back on this day for a while and say that this is like, what really kicked off this season's Rostermania. And I guess we can kind of just jump into the first, really big news. That being FormaL announcing that he's
Yeah. Yeah.
retiring, stepping down from competitive Call of Duty.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure at this point we don't need to read the twit longer. I'm sure everybody listening to this has already read it multiple times or watched somebody read it, but kind of something unexpected. Obviously, like I was watching the flank a little bit. They obviously knew it was coming. A lot of the inside people did, but I mean, I guess I didn't know that FormaL had like a ton of time left because he's obviously been competing for a very long time, both Halo and COD. I think it's something crazy. He started when he was like 13 or 14 in Halo. Um, I didn't know how much time he had left, I guess, but I'm just really shocked to see that he retired. It kind of seemed like he lost the passion, but I don't know. Did this just completely catch you off guard?
I mean, I feel like for maybe a month or so now, we've kind of been having this narrative of like, you know, I don't know who introduced it, but like if FormaL retires or like if like what's gonna spur like, the breakup of T2P or OpTic's roster move.
Yeah,
So it was definitely something that was like implanted in the back of your head, but like just to see it come uh, when it did right now, I don't know, it really did catch me off guard, especially on the heels of the Envoy news earlier in the day, but I guess we'll cover that in due time.
yeah. I mean, I guess the thing that surprised me. I mean, when you kind of like now that you know the news and you kind of look at the last 2 years, it makes a little bit more sense, at least in my mind. I mean, you can tell me if you agree. But I mean, FormaL, obviously going back to IW and before, was a dominant player. Like a lot of times we called him not only the best AR in certain games, but the best player, like overall, including subs. Like he was unbelievable. And it just seemed like, I mean, he's been a good player these last 2 years. He's definitely been like a decent starting player and a good AR, but like he just hasn't ever hit that same level of like formal dominance in Modern Warfare or even this year in Cold War. He showed flashes and he looked really good. And like he even said in that little post game or like post season press conference that they uploaded on the OpTic channel that like he just hasn't been comfortable. It seems like he's been trying to change his game too much, not enjoying it as much. And I think that's probably due to the fact that maybe the passion has just been a little lost. So I think honestly, that's kind of why we've seen the struggle over the last 2 years. Not that he's been bad, but he just hasn't been that same dominant player.
Yeah, I mean, part of me was thinking like how much does this like how much did like all the online stuff the last 2 years kind of factor into getting burnt out. People will recall he was in California for a while during the Modern Warfare season until Hecz finally brought him to Dallas. And obviously we had a few lands this year, 3 lands, 4, 5, and the playoffs champs. But everything else was online. It's just kind of like we've seen with other players too, just like voicing their frustrations with that and claiming some like mental burnout, I guess. But yeah, I mean, in his tweet longer too, he did mention that like he would think that he's costing the team to kind of continue to you know fake it out and be there but not really be putting in his all.
Yeah.
So mad respect to him for admitting that and kind of just
Yeah.
realizing that if he's not able to compete and play at his highest caliber, then maybe it is time to just step away.
Yeah. And I really respect that as well because like I'm sure like I don't think the enjoyment of the events and the tournament and the matches aspect will ever go away. I think he'll always enjoy that. I think it's like he said, like the practice aspect and grinding so much, and like he just didn't have the energy, or just like the want to do that. And I think, I mean, like he could easily fake it in the practice and kind of go through the motions, and then just be present for the events and kind of be costing his team because he's really not fully invested. So it, I mean, it takes a big person to be able to step away and realize, like, you know what, I'm gonna be selfish if I continue to play. So shout out to him for that. Also, kind of just a shout out. I guess we haven't really talked about this much in the podcast, but one of the main ways I really got into competitive COD was FormaL because I've said it before. I obviously kind of started as a big Halo fan. FormaL was like one of the first pros I saw way back when he was a super young kid competing in Halo, and was kind of a guy that, I mean, I wasn't like this huge FormaL fan in Halo, but somebody I watched. And then when I saw around the Ghost time that he was switching over to COD, that kind of made me like go check out COD. And I remember like I watched some like Ghost Champ stuff. I mean, I'd seen some Black Ops 2, but I wasn't like fully invested in it. And then I kind of saw FormaL, and that kind of fully got me invested in it because like, oh, this is a Halo pro going over, and I really like Halo. Like he's making the switch. Let me watch some. And then I mean, from there I was hooked. He kind of was like a gateway for me into competitive COD. So like almost like a just a weird day for me because it's like, wow, it's been that long since I got into competitive COD that one of the players that kind of got me into it is retiring. But I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way. I think he's going to go kill it in content. I think uh was that last offseason, 2 off seasons ago. I think it was maybe the offseason where like going into Modern Warfare where he's playing Blackout. Had like 20,000 subscribers or something like that on Twitch. I mean, he's an entertaining dude. He's gonna kill it in content. I don't know that his playing days are over though. I mean, I don't know what you think, but I don't know. I feel like in a couple years he might get that itch again.
I mean, that's always a possibility. But as we've seen with the I guess the move to franchising and um just over like the overall more like professional aspect of the game is like maybe that's why we haven't seen Karma like just like decide that he's going to come back or something.
Mhm.
Just a bunch of weird things like that. Yeah, I mean, I would never say never, but I feel like the people that find success in the content game really
Oh yeah.
it's a big pull, and maybe that's why like people like Scump have resisted it for so long, because they
Yeah.
they realize that they're gonna make like fivefold what they make now, and it's gonna be like less stressful. But I guess we can kind of talk about how that leaves it leaves a real hole
Yeah.
in the AR position now for OpTic. What do you think's gonna happen there?
Yeah, I mean, last thing on FormaL too. I mean, he's gonna kill it in the content game, which makes it easier for him to retire because I mean, it's like a guarantee he goes and kills it with the backing of OpTic. But for the AR spot for OpTic, to be honest with you, I think there's a couple ways it could go. I could see a world where they maybe reach out to Octane and see, because I think the only team that could pull Octane away from Thieves would be the pull of OpTic, obviously, because we know Octane loves Nate Shot and the Thieves organization. But I think the only potential team that could pull him away would be a team like OpTic, obviously, because they have a lot of pull as well within Call of Duty. Um, I think though, unless it's a player um, like Octane coming into OpTic, I think Dashy might just slide into the AR role. I was thinking Clay for a little bit if he was a free agent, but Clay and Dashy kind of have a beef, so I don't really see that one happening. But my initial reaction would be maybe they reach out to Octane, but most likely I think Dashy slides into that AR role.
Yeah, I mean that those are probably the two biggest possibilities in my opinion. I mean, there's we're all people are going down the rabbit hole of like, where is Crimsix outside of Scump's house? Like, what's gonna
Yeah,
happen here? I know we're kind of bouncing all over. I mean, it's hard to keep things isolated with Rostermania, but like, I think Dashy, like a lot of people have said that I mean, he's not really a flex. He's an AR that was playing like the second
yeah,
AR role. So maybe it's time to give him the reins in the AR role
yeah,
for
yeah,
OpTic going forward. And he's kind of indicated as well that he doesn't think he's leaving OpTic unless he gets dropped. Um, so that makes me believe that that's probably the most likely possibility. Um, because it seems like Octane's definitely going to Thieves.
yeah.
But unless they cut Dashy and get Zinni, Crim, and Octane back for a World War II game,
Yeah, bringing it
that's always a
back.
possibility.
I mean, I 100% agree with you. I think I think Dashy probably came over to OpTic. He wasn't really playing flex for OpTic. He was playing waiting room main AR, waiting to see what happened with FormaL and see how long he was going to compete. Because I think Dashy, like he said, once he got back on OpTic, he never wants to leave again. He never wants to use a sub. He didn't want to use a sub last year when he was on OGLA in Modern Warfare. Didn't want to use it, and that kind of led to some issues within the team and chemistry and stuff. And he didn't want to use it this year. And luckily for him, it was basically a 2 AR, 2 sub meta the whole year, so he didn't have to. But I think he probably slides into that AR role. But some potential free agents, like you said, Crim, the detectives are doing the Zuma FaceTime and looking at it, thinking he might be outside Scump's house. Kind of transitioning out of the OpTic, but still staying with him because some of these players might be going there. Some other quick Rostermania news we wanted to cover in this little mini episode: Crim, Vivid, Envoy, some big dominoes. Announcing Envoy is completely unrestricted, can go wherever he wants. And then Vivid and Crim, as well as TJ is also unrestricted completely, like Envoy. But then Vivid and Crim are restricted, which, to my knowledge, if it's just like sports, basically means they're like up to leave, but they're still technically under contract by Empire, so they have to be like bought out, and they have to pay a buyout to Empire. But those 4 players who could have OpTic implications are all free agents.
Yeah, I don't really want to go down like the semantics hole of like restricted versus unrestricted
Yeah,
because like we're still up against the, I guess, like the the date where teams would have to either re-sign or like not re-sign, or it's just like some weird things that we haven't really. I mean, we hear them from like the secondary sources like CDL Intel and stuff, like what these dates are. But yeah, I mean, obviously Crim being on the block, if him and Scump can like bury the hatchet and they really want to play again, I could definitely see that happening. I could see him, you know,
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, how could you not like at least entertain an offer to go get the goat?
And also, like, he fits into the brand, and like that's big time for Hecz loves him. I don't know. It's a weird situation though for Crim, because I don't know how you feel, but I think, like, to me, there's only a few teams Crim would want to and like fits on. Like, obviously OpTic would be one of them. He's been there, and that's like one of the big brands. Faze would be another because they're such a big brand, but Faze isn't bringing him on because that team's set. And then Empire would probably be the other one, like Envy, like kind of a long-term team that's been around forever in COD and has like an established brand. It like seems like Crim needs to be on a team with a big brand. The only other one really with an established brand would be like Surge, LG, but from what we've heard, they're a mess. I doubt Crim's gonna be willingly wanting to go to Seattle because the org might be a mess. And like it's like Faze, OpTic, Empire, like the 3 established big brands. And I mean, he's obviously not returning to Empire and not going to Faze, so that leaves OpTic unless he's gonna go build somewhere else. But I don't really know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess more will be revealed with Crim. Vivid also, he's a, up and coming, I guess, like SMG, like super aggro, SMG guy that he was starting to find his form with Empire, but then obviously the news coming out that he won't be getting extended or offered from Empire to continue there. So people have been linking him with Thieves. People have been linking him with like maybe he'll go play at New York, or could he come to OpTic now that Envoy's out? Who knows? I mean, just a lot of potential possibilities
Yeah.
with him as well.
I feel like he's kind of like you said, up and coming too. Like, but we kind of we knew he had potential on LAG, wasn't able to show it because the team sucked. But we kind
Right.
of saw like he has a crazy ceiling this year when he's on a structured team like Empire.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think he'll kind of be looking for an established team, maybe like more veteran
Hmm.
presence. Because I think he was finding his legs with Crim, at the helm of Empire. So
Do you think they're a
um,
potential team of 2, kind of like looking to join another 2, or do you think they're kind of split and maybe open, or just like they're completely split?
I mean, it'd be really interesting because I think if Crim goes somewhere, I think Crim is way more used useful as like a flex or or
I agree.
maybe even an SMG, but I guess probably not. Given the amount of SMG and AR talents, I feel like Crim could definitely fit in more as a flex. And Vivid running an SMG. Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting to see them like announce that they're a team of two, but I mean, I guess until we would hear that, I would lean more to say that they're gonna just do their own thing.
Yeah, I would agree. The other thing with Dallas that I think is interesting is Shotzi and Ilya have been talking basically like they're a team of two, but haven't like necessarily been saying like it's Dallas. So I'm wondering like this is being recorded on the 28th of August. The 29th is like the day that teams have to let people know if they're extending their like extra year, but I don't think those two would have an extra year. So like there's a chance that Shotzi and Ilya are potentially free agents. They're a pair that could maybe go to OpTic. We also said TJ's a free agent. I really hope TJ's not going to OpTic. We've seen the Dashy TJ Scump experiment. Seems like TJ and Dashy, when they're on the same team, kind of bring out like a toxic relationship. They kind of seem to bring out like the worst in each other, a little laziness, despite the fact that they're both very talented players. What about Envoy? I mean, that's really the last one we have to talk about. You have any ideas where he's going? I mean, to me, it seems like it's kind of like a big time free agent going out there, and everybody's going to be recruiting him, and he probably has his pick of where he wants to go, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, I one thing that kind of jumps like maybe Envoy goes to Thieves with Octane.
I could see that because they wanted a team going into Modern
Yeah,
Warfare.
yeah, that was my thought. And I think Octane thinks pretty highly of him, and then he could slot in with like Octane at the AR, Kenny running like a flex, and then you have Draza and Envoy. I could see that team working out,
I
you
I,
know,
I could as well, and
pretty
also
well.
there's another factor that's got to play in. 100 Thieves, LA Thieves. If there's one thing they're going to do with competing, they're also going to do content. We know Octane, obviously, probably going to go there, but we know Envoy can do content very well too, and can be kind of like a poster child that, just like he would have been on OpTic. I think he can kind of be like a poster child for content and kind of grow into that superstar as well on Thieves. Because if there's one team that can grow superstars that's not OpTic, it's Thieves. I could see him doing that, and maybe that's part of the reason that he was willing to leave. Because I don't know, based on the way that like things are ending, and Scump and Envoy like are super friendly with each other and seem to still be very close friends. Like the whole team seems to be close friends. It doesn't seem like he was like forced out. It seems like maybe he would have had a chance to come back. And to me, I mean, this is all speculation. I could be completely wrong, but I don't think he would willingly leave unless it was to a team like Thieves or Faze, and it's not Faze. So I don't know, but I do think I think speculating on Envoy is tough because I legitimately think besides Faze, he could go to any team. I could see a world where Shotzi and Illy are sticking together on Empire, and Clay's a free agent. He goes over there, and Envoy goes over there, and you got like Clay, Illy, Shotzi, and Envoy. I could see that being a team as well.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because it's kind of hard because we don't know why he left. I mean, he was kind of dubbed as like the prince
Yeah,
to Scump's king.
yeah,
Uh, that he was getting molded for 2 years in like in the optic light. He was really good at content. He's a charismatic young guy. Bright future ahead of him as well. I
yeah.
just I'm kind of wondering if maybe like once the team knew that FormaL was going to retire, and then Scump was like, maybe Scump took the reins and was like, this is the direction I want to go, and maybe uh, Envoy was like, yeah, I'm not all about it, so like, if you let me walk, I'll walk, or because it seems like it was an amicable split. It doesn't seem like
Oh yeah.
Envoy's like firing shots back at
No,
OpTic.
not at all.
So yeah, I mean that's just a really just interesting. I mean, we could probably talk forever about just these 4 or 5 moves. I don't know. I mean, I guess another thing, do you have anything else to say on on these four? Because I think there's one more like minor bit of news that came out. Uh
Um, I don't know. Like the only thing I'm thinking of is it's interesting now because we kind of all thought the big domino that we knew of coming into this free agency was Octane, but it was assumed like most likely he's going to Thieves. and like not a lot of people thought there was many more dominoes, but now all of a sudden Envoy having the literal pick of wherever he wants to go is a huge domino that has yet to fall, because like he could be taking roster spots that we thought were guaranteed, because like there's certain subs that we thought, they'll stay, but there's a potential Envoy takes spots because I mean he's got like we said, being how skilled you are very, very much matters. But a lot of these teams are starting to look at brands, and Envoy has a bigger brand than most SMGs in the league, apart from Scump and a couple others. He's got one of the biggest brands in the league, so like he's coming in, he's got a lot to offer, and he's like the big domino. We've got to wait to fall. TJ is kind of an underrated domino, I feel like, because he's still viewed as a pretty good player, and has been on Thieves, been on OpTic, been on a lot of big orgs, had a lot of success. I feel like he's kind of an underrated domino people aren't talking about. I think it's just everything got a lot more interesting. Obviously, Crim is a huge domino. It's just like things got a lot more interesting because we went from just knowing it was Octane to some of the greatest players of all time coming around. And then also OpTic has officially announced that 2 players aren't coming back. So like we didn't think OpTic's roster was even going to change at all. There's a good chance. And now all of a sudden they're making a change. So, I mean, I'm just excited to see where this goes. But what was that other piece of news you wanted to talk about?
Oh, just Paris announcing that they're
big news.
they're fleecing their entire roster. So
yeah, not much of a shock there, but also kind of exciting because we get to see a whole new team made from scratch. But they might wait till the day before the game to announce.
Yeah, that would really be unfortunate again, because then we get a bunch of we just it ends up turning into a lot of people just like animosity towards Paris.
Yeah.
For not announcing and like seemingly not taking the league seriously. Signing a bunch of people that probably just don't fit together realistically.
Yeah, and it's a real shame for players that really deserve their shot if they're going to sign some random people that don't fit together, rather than a bunch of people who have been grinding. But I'm really hoping they've been a lot more active on social media recently. Seemed like they got more into that, so I'm hoping that kind of continues over and they start to take things a little more seriously, because it is really unfortunate to see a team that just doesn't seem to care. Has LAG announced anything yet? Technically, like official? I don't think they have.
No, I think no, they have not.
I would assume the roster is just wiped, but
yeah, I mean, hard to see. Maybe they keep some of their like amateurs, like Mental and Nero. Who knows? But
yeah.
just because they're probably still on a +1. But I mean,
yeah,
I guess that'll all be revealed in due time. I don't know if we have much else to rap about here. Anything else come to mind?
No, I think unless you have anything else you want to say to everyone, I think I might wrap it up here and just keep this one shorter, like we said.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we'll keep seeing more stuff in the coming days, but I think we hit on all the big topics for for this weekend at least.
Yeah. So I mean, we kind of talked a little bit about our plan. We also just a couple days ago recorded a little like CDL fantasy draft. So look for that one to come out after this one. It's obviously a little different because at the time of recording it, we didn't know FormaL was retired, so he was included in that draft and obviously got drafted. But that doesn't really affect things all that much. But we recorded a little CDL draft, so that'll be coming out. And like I said, this is getting recorded on the 28th. So the deadline is tomorrow as of this point, to like when teams have to announce if they're like extending a player, if they have an option to or not. And then on the 5th is when players, September 5th is when players can start signing. So the plan is to kind of throw this little just update out and kind of give our thoughts on the Rostermania stuff that's going on. And then that draft video will be out. And then following that, September 5th is a Sunday. So maybe next Sunday, if a lot of things are being announced, kind of hop on for a pod. But that's what the schedule is looking like. Appreciate you guys tuning into this little shorter type Rostermania kind of update thing. Obviously, we're not breaking any news, but just giving our thoughts on it. If you guys enjoy this kind of format, let us know down in the comments, and we can kind of keep doing these little shorter ones. And then eventually, when all the big news comes out, hammer it out into one podcast like we normally do. But thank you guys so much for watching this one. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed. And we'll see you in the next one. Peace out, everyone.